Welcome to Bonehead.
No, let's not welcome them yet. Let's see if we like them.
You know what? Get the hell out.
Hold on. You just hold on for a second. Did they bring jalapeno poppers?
Oh, what type? Are we talking cream cheese or the cheddar cheese? Because I'll eat both.
I was about to say, James, what the hell difference does it make?
I'll eat them.
I will eat them. I've seen you eat.
Yeah, I'll eat them both.
I mean, dog shit that was deep fried.
That's not true. It was a dog. I'm not a proud man. I'll explore.
You held it by the tail. It's so tasty.
It was not deturred.
Turded?
Deturred.
I was
deterred.
It looked kind of like the shrimp you get with the bag.
Oh, God. Anyway,
that's nasty.
What I was saying about on the way over here. So the Wicked Witch of the West, you see.
I used to work for her.
She had those flying monkeys.
Yes.
Do you think she blamed the monkeys for the smell? Because she couldn't be exposed.
No, she needed to wash.
She couldn't be exposed to water.
Yeah.
So you think? I just think the monkeys probably got blamed.
No, what you really need to ask...
Doesn't Wicked explain that more about the water?
I don't know. I've
never read it.
I'll be honest. I have.
I slept with a lady who did, but it still somehow didn't come through me.
My wife loves the musical and all of that stuff, but I haven't read it.
Have you read it?
Yeah, I've read a portion of. I've read most of the book. Yeah.
It's written by Gregory Maguire.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's wrote several other ones.
Yeah. Son of a Witch, a Lion. I always want to say it's a Lion in Winter, but it's not.
He did not write.
He did not write that. Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister.
And then there's a Alice in Wonderland one, and I got Dana.
Yeah, I've got them all for Christy. The last one you got me to get was signed. Joseph Beth by him.
Yes. That being said, I just wanted to bring that up because I was sitting there thinking, that's got to be something she blamed on the monkey.
I got to be honest, this is slightly more interesting than a couple of our other shows, I think we should probably just keep going.
I had 15 different conversations about pop culture. Wait a minute, type stuff on the way over. I don't know why my brain was just going a mile a minute. I think it's the meth.
But what you really got to worry about is more than likely those monkeys have not yet reached maturity yet.
I can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's point. Counterpoint. Welcome to Bonehead.
That Wicked Witch ain't gonna have no face.
Oh my God! If those monkeys get a hold of any bath salts, bath salt. Oh my God! Bath salt flying monkeys on the next Sick Sad World.
Sick Sad World. So we're this time. What the hell are we talking about? Robert Latham Brown on Bonehead.
By the way, I don't think we have not even told you what the topic is. No. You're probably never going to guess at this point.
No, I'm not. Once again, we're interviewing Robert Latham Brown. By the way,
he doesn't know what we're just going to call him out of the blue.
We did okay audio, but video-wise, where are the YouTubers? So I had somebody stop me this week, gentlemen. And now I want to remind you all we're on iHeartRadio, right? And you may be listening to us right now.
iHeartRadio.
The lovely, wonderful, talented, and I like her because she supports the show, Carrie, stopped me this week. I heard, Joe! First question was about lunch, which a fat man always wants to talk about. The second question was... Or the second comment was...
Second question was, are you going to eat my lunch?
Yeah, are you going to eat my lunch? Because I'm so hungry.
Third question.
The family is starving.
Third question.
Put it down, John Goodman.
Has it been deturred?
No.
Continue on.
Oddly enough. She was so happy because we're finally on iHeartRadio. So she doesn't have to watch us on YouTube anymore because she refused to do SoundCloud, doesn't have any Apple products, iTunes. So she enjoys the show. But now that we're on iHeartRadio, it has made her life so much easier.
So that's where our YouTube view went.
I don't know if that's where it went, but I wonder if that's where a lot of SoundCloud, iTunes people go.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Impossible to track.
No.
I want to ask you all right now, if you're listening to us
no, it's
or
actually possible to track. We had somebody who actually had that kind of talent.
No, I have the... I mean, no, I don't have...
We have friends who have more resources doing the same thing we are, and they're having a hard time tracking their iTunes.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to say, and that's the problem is we are everywhere. Even places we don't know.
Bonehead knows.
Wow.
Anyway.
Proud of yourself about that one?
No, not really, but I kind of liked it still.
Yeah, phoned it in.
I was really phoned it in. Oh, good God. Here we go coughing again.
Oh, did he start coughing?
He started coughing.
3 weeks sick.
Come on, Dad. I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing.
You're about 50 years sick at this point.
But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they're on iHeartRadio. However, I'd like to know how many people are listening to us. Because I can tell you how many people are watching us, and it's mighty damn few.
Yep.
James? Who's called but seldom are chosen? Many are called, but few. Sam, was it? Mighty damn few are chosen.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, many are called, but yeah, anyway.
So we're 5 minutes.
Pick up tambourine.
Should we mention what the topic of this episode is?
Absolutely. This is
Even a tambourine Baptist could do that.
This is where we're going to have an altar call. If you really, really, really want to support Bonehead, get on your knees. That sounded weird.
And on that note, Marvel superheroes.
I thought it was supposed to DC.
We already did DC.
And it wasn't overly successful, guys.
So let's
2
go back
hours.
and do it again
Which
with
ones are
Marvel.
overly successful? 0.
That's not true.
You know what's not successful? Stephen King Part 5.
80s cartoons.
But we were told
Hanna-Barbera.
we were told we need to knock off the cartoons.
Hanna-Barbera?
Cop shows.
Cop shows for some odd reason. Not cop movies.
Because Fish Police.
I think
Cop
we
shows.
need to go back and do, and we've mentioned this before,
And
that
part 2
serial
or 3
killers,
of 90s cartoons.
serial killers are popular. We don't want to do actual serial killers. We probably do need to do one about our favorite fictional.
Yeah, I could do that. I could get on board with that. So, yes, we're talking about Marvel characters. Our favorite Marvel superheroes and characters.
I want to say, and I told Chad I was going to do this, I want to do a caveat at the beginning.
Yeah, same
saying
here.
that if you held a gun to my head and say, name your favorite Marvel superhero,
We both say.
It's got to be Beast.
yeah,
No.
he's pretty good. I mean, I like him, but it's Spider-Man is who I grew up with.
Same here.
And then the second to him would be the Hulk for me, especially when Peter David was
What
writing
about
the Hulk.
Iron Man?
No,
I thought
Iron
he was
Man-
going to say Iron Man.
Iron Man's my. Iron Man was who I grew. Iron Man in an episode.
Tony Stark, he'll make you feel he's
Go
a
ahead
cool
and say it,
exec with
Chad.
Dark
That's
Knight.
all right. You can get it out.
No, Iron Man.
The car. Let's reenact a fish called Wanda. It's coming to kill me. One of my favorite
No.
lines of all time.
My first 2 comic books ever
Yes.
was a copy of an X-Men, I don't know which one, and an Iron Man Anniversary Edition, and it was by far my favorite. And it's what kind of introduced me to comic books. So Spider-Man is one of my personal favorites, but Iron Man is also right up there with him. So Iron Man. And by the way, I thought you were going to say Captain America. I was shocked that you just pulled out Hulk.
No. I like Captain America, but the problem with Captain America was when I was introduced to comics in the '80s.
James
Was
like Hulk.
Was this the werewolf Hulk Captain America face?
No.
Is
The
it
problem.
She-Hulk?
That's true. That did happen.
That
did happen. But the problem in the '80s with Captain America was Captain America was written. It's my same problem with a lot of Superman comics.
Yeah.
He was written to.
Squeaky clean.
Well, not squeaky. You can be squeaky clean, but you have to have bad stuff happen around you that impacts you.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with Captain America in the '80s. Was he was still, America.
Is it Reagan Captain America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Superman did the same thing going into DC, where it was you had almost every few issues of Captain America or of Superman, it would have truth, justice, and the American way, and there'd be an American flag. And don't get me
In the
wrong.
background, he's entering the ring, and you can hear American.
And that's not to say that that's
Call
not
me
good.
bastards.
That's not to say that it's not a good thing, but you can only do that so long before you have to have
Yeah.
something. I mean, it's my issue with Superman, and again, I'm talking about a DC character, but my issue with Superman in comics is you literally have thousands and thousands of issues now of different Superman titles and Superman appearances, and nothing hurts him. I mean, he dies and comes back. He's done it multiple times.
I got that one that's not worth what it was supposed to be.
Well, the problem was that popularized the comic industry for 3 weeks.
Yep.
But anyway.
But no, me and James talked about this in text, in that Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk are our favorite Marvel characters, but we also have some lesser-known Marvel
You have a
characters.
Captain American shirt on.
I do. It's the only Marvel. Well, no, I have another Marvel shirt, but this is the only one I could find tonight, so I put this one on.
Well, if you don't like him, why'd you buy the shirt?
I like Captain America.
Why don't you like America, Chad?
Fireworks, guns.
Lawyers, money.
Yeah.
The shit has hit the fan. Warren's
And
mom.
apparently Reagan
Never
was a
forget.
terrible racist. Who would have known?
Harlan
By
Ellison.
the way, if you read
Yeah.
into this much, I guess he was talking to Nixon.
Yeah, he was talking to Nixon.
And he was playing the Nixon.
Yes.
Sorry. He's
Yeah.
an actor.
I know.
Acting!
But anyway, so we decided we weren't going to really focus on the more well-known Marvel heroes.
Oh man,
and
that was my whole part about She-Hulk.
But I will say this: I did cheat a little. I do have one.
Does Christy know?
Yeah.
Do have one. He cheated with She-Hulk.
Oh.
It wasn't actually She-Hulk. It was just a
snooze. I know that's not it, but I wish it was.
It was
more snooze.
It was just a lady that was green. She may have been dead at the time.
Oh man, Star Trek and She-Hulk. I got a certain kink, Chad. I got a certain kink. I can't look at a cucumber or zucchini without.
In all fairness,
how you doing?
She-Hulk was an attorney and an effective attorney at that. You got to give her credit.
She-Hulk snoo after attorney meeting.
She-Hulk never quite had the savage. I mean, she was, but she wasn't quite as inarticulate as Hulk.
Well, that's sad. I'm just saying.
Oh, so women have to be inarticulate? God, what a...
They don't have to be. It just helps.
And
oh my God! Is this going to be one of those things where he starts talking about Planet of the Apes and what was her name? Nova. How Nova was your dream woman for years?
Nah, man. Anybody would fall in love with a right-wing nut job like Charlton. I'm joking, by the way. Chuck Heston. I've never heard a bad story about him.
No.
About meeting him.
Yeah. I think most people appreciate their fans, unless their fans interrupt them when they're trying to eat, drink, use the bathroom.
I got a story to tell you all about an encounter later anyway. So, who wants to go first? You want me to go first?
Why don't you go first, since you hardly ever talk on the more dorky subjects. So
I don't think that's more dorky. In fact, there's a $1 billion industry that says I'm dead wrong.
Multi-billions.
Billions of dollars. We're talking about multi-billion for one movie.
Right.
So, obviously, I'm wrong. Although I enjoyed the hell out of Avengers Endgame. It was maybe one of the best comic book films ever made.
No argument. If it is not the best movie, Dark Knight.
No, Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight.
Yeah. In my opinion.
I think, though, I want to say this about Endgame, and I think this is true. The Dark Knight's great. But I think Endgame gets a special place for me because it showed that comics could translate to film. Mm-hmm. Batman's pretty easy to translate to film because you can lose the stuff that doesn't translate well. Marvel went full steam ahead going, okay, listen, we got a talking raccoon.
Yep.
And we're going to go ahead and blend that with this guy, the doctor that does magic. Oh, and don't worry about it because we're also just going to have, a guy that throws a shield. And we're just going to say this is, and by the end of it, it all makes sense.
So, I want to talk about a few of the ones, and if I screw something up and something's not Marvel, please punch me in the face. I think I'm right, though.
Hold on. Kissed all my knuckles.
I'm almost positive.
Ready to go.
I didn't read a lot of comic books. So I sit down and I thought...
You could have stopped before comic books.
Yeah, no.
How do you read? So
sure you do. Right manifesto.
What?
I don't know.
It'd have been funnier if you said, sure. Did Sam ever eat those green eggs and ham, Joe? Did you find out?
Sam did eat the green eggs and ham from the beginning. It's the narrator that didn't. He didn't read green eggs and ham. Sam, I am.
It got complicated.
Sam is the one that wanted him to eat
Plus, I don't like green. Anyway,
I seen the Hulk and She-Hulk disappointed.
You all have picked on me for over the years, and I can give you a solid example. And you're absolutely right. I wouldn't say picked on me, but you both know me well enough to know. Oh, you'll look at art. For example, there was a comic book. You probably neither one of you remember this. It had a ghost with like a skull, with some horses on the front pulling a thing and riding, and it was cool. And you're like, yeah, Joe will like that. And you're right, I did buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't remember that. That's fine. It's here somewhere, God knows, in all this mess. So I started to think, what comic characters appeal to me on a visual level I would have liked to know more. And now we're going to get to a couple of them in here, but what I want to start off with is a little one known as Ghost Rider.
Okay.
I almost did Ghost Rider, but I figured you might. I figured if you did one,
because you know me.
Because he likes skulls, and he likes to do things to them.
No, I don't think that's it. But the imagery of a flaming skull on a frickin' motorcycle kicking ass with a chain that could be on fire looks cool. I wish I'd have made that movie. Mm-hmm. I guarantee if I never read the comic book, I'd still make it more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that. There would be a plot.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I don't know how you dropped the ball on Ghost Rider.
So Ghost Rider is the name of an
PG-13.
anti-hero. His name's Johnny Blaze, correct?
Well,
Yes.
there's been several.
There's
Ghost
been
Riders.
several.
American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Marvel
just
said
cut us
previously
off?
used. Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Marvel previously used the name for a Western character whose name was later changed to Phantom Rider.
And at one point, he was briefly called. Do you know this?
Mm-mm.
He was called the Night Rider.
Oh my lord!
Do you know why that's a bad idea, Chad?
Because you don't piss off the Hoff.
Well,
No.
to save his father,
No.
he sold his soul to Satan, correct?
His adoptive father.
Is
Yes.
it? Oh, okay. It didn't say that.
By the way, the name of this episode should be Turded or Don't Piss Off the Hoff.
who's later known as Mephisto,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't it Mephisto?
I've always said Mephisto, but it's never been.
It's literally Mephisto, Mephisto.
Mephisto. I thought that was the name of a porno. Continue.
No, that's just
Well, it
what
may
you
be.
wanted.
What are you watching, you sick perv?
When at night and when he's around evil, he does what? He blazes up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, haha, blaze.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Finds his flesh consumed by hellfire, causing his head to become a flaming skull.
Did you write this yourself?
No.
I didn't think you
No,
did.
I stole
Continue.
it. But I know. Thank you so much to IGN, Wikipedia, and another website I'm missing. I apologize.
What?
Can I continue?
You continue.
Yeah.
Usually, okay, Flaming, he rides a fiery motorcycle, yes, right, usually from his skeletal hands. He eventually learns he has been bonded with the demon Zarathos.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. I mean, I've heard it pronounced different ways, too, but...
From 72 to 83, the subsequent Ghost Rider series 90 to 98 featuring Danny Ketch as the
Danny
new
Ketch.
Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
right?
Who was eventually trained
After his sister
by...
was injured by Ninja Gang, was it Stick?
Actually, he was trained eventually by Johnny Blaze. Cause that's
Hold on. Never studied.
Johnny
You didn't
Blaze.
even get it right. You said Stick. That's Daredevil.
I know, I just want to pull it out of my ass.
And
I knew who that
technically,
was.
Wolverine was trained by Stick at one point, too.
Oh, I didn't-
Yeah, Stick gets... and Blaze was trained by... I mean, they did... Whistler gets...
Yeah.
So Johnny Blaze and Danny, his sister, were long-lost siblings. All right, and then in the 2000s, it comes back as Johnny Blaze again. So I hated the movie with Nicolas Cage. Almost close to it.
No.
Is that Brian? What's it? Something Johnson. Who directed that? No, Mark
Michael
Ryan. Mark Reed.
The guy who ruined Daredevil, the guy who ruined Ghost Rider, the guy who the only good movie he's did is Simon Birch.
You know what
And
it's
some
better
people
than?
hate Simon Birch, right?
Yeah, and I don't get it.
I've never seen it.
You know what it's better
I
than,
enjoy it.
though, to somewhat degree?
What?
Because I was rewatching them.
But he did write Grumpy Old Man.
Some of the Fantastic Four movies.
No.
Bart Mixon says that they just never had the budget. I disagree with him slightly on that.
Yeah.
What the...
The Fantastic Four movies never had the budget that the Marvel
It's
films
not the problem with the Fantastic Four movies. I would say it's not the budget.
So-
it's lightning in a bottle.
Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. And by the way, I almost put Dr. Doom on my list because to look at him, that is a cool looking villain.
I will actually agree with, and it's not just that. Doctor Doom is terrifying.
Who knows nothing about comics for the most part.
Doctor Doom is a fascinating character.
Almost. I cut him at the last minute.
I will echo you, Doctor Doom, because he's a fascinating character because he is almost. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's a magician. I mean, he can almost go toe to toe with Doctor Strange. He's not the Sorcerer's Supreme, but he's got the supernatural element. But he can go toe to toe on science with Reed Richards.
So I love the idea of Ghost Rider. I actually would like to read more books. There's a couple of them in here. I'm actually going to ask you all if you have some of those anthologies that I can buy. I don't want to pay for. Jared Greer, if you're out there and you're just handing out comics, I'll take some of them on this.
Well, there's actually a great storyline in Ghost Rider where at one
Is it
point
hot in here?
when it wasn't consistently running, at one point he actually became the ruler of hell.
Oh, really?
And because who knows more about vengeance and what's the purpose of hell but to make those who have sinned suffer? And that's a fascinating storyline. Because the other issue though is he has to be there. He can't leave.
And of course now in modern comic books you have Cosmic Ghost Rider,
Really?
which is
I didn't even get to that.
Frank Castle.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah,
It's the spirit of
The
vengeance.
Punisher became Cosmic Ghost.
Ghost Rider, and also that also too.
You have Ray. Ray?
Ernie
Stance.
No, not Ernie Reyes.
Ernie
I forget his
Hudson.
name.
But anyway, there's the one that does the car too.
Yeah.
So
And then for a while there was the Zarathustra, whatever, the spirit separated and was his own, and he actually he wanted to rebond with Johnny Blaze when Johnny Blaze freed himself from it and became a villain for a while, and Danny Ketch had to fight him. So there's so many great characters. Anyway,
I think they've also used him on which show did they use him?
Shield. Agents of Shield is the Reyes. That's not Reyes. I'm forgetting.
I haven't watched any of those. I think I tuned out second.
But
or third season of
he's
Shield.
the one that has the car, and he's Hispanic and all that, and he does. And that's one of the things that Ghost Rider works so well is that there's always there's always this spirit of vengeance out there, and that's why there was the Western one, and they did retcon it and make it supernatural as well.
By the way, at the end of the day, it's a flaming motorcycle guy in a skull.
Well,
it's awesome.
Even the
how did they screw it up, Chad?
Even the Western one.
It's Roberto Reyes.
Reyes, thank you.
That's racist.
Even
I don't know what.
No, it's not Roberto Reyes. It's Reyes.
I'm
Anyway,
deep.
Even the cowboy one. I mean, a flaming horse.
It's cool.
And you add flames and skulls,
and then you do Riders in the Sky, and it's awful.
No, my entire thing with that is I loved the casting of Conagher.
Yes, some people call him Sam
Elliott.
I probably said Sam Neill.
Actually, I would watch that movie too. I'm Sam Neill.
You can pull out the Big Lebowski. You could have pulled out Roadhouse. He goes, Conagher.
My dad loved
Let's pull out this TNT movie.
My dad loved Conagher. We saw that movie 4,000 times. Anyway, as bad as that movie is, it is still cool to see Sam Elliott play the old school Ghost Rider.
Yeah. And the sequel is slightly better, directed by Nevedine, and slightly better. Still not a great movie.
And I would still argue, and I say this as a Nick Cage fan, what's wrong with those movies is not Nick Cage's fault.
I don't know it's necessarily Nick Cage's fault.
Because Nick Cage said that his dream was by the time we got back up to him for the sequel, he'd be a full-tilt alcoholic, and which would, I mean, God, if you can't be around bad people without your head bursting into flames, I'd probably have a couple drinks too.
All right. Let's move along, gentlemen. The last one was 2 hours. Nobody listened. Are you listening now?
Can you hear me?
Dear God, it's Margaret.
Can you hear me? Can you feel me near you? Tommy? Tommy? The Who? Anybody? Anybody listen to the musicals? Tommy?
Nope.
Yeah, I have.
Heard he was a pinball wizard. Am I going or
You're playing a mean pinball. Which one of you can do it in the next 6 minutes? Chad, go.
All right. Who's the most powerful superhero in the Marvel Universe?
Me.
Joe.
Stan Lee. He's dead.
Ken Kirk.
No.
Bryce O'Quay.
No, seriously. Who do you think's the most powerful superhero in the Marvel Universe?
Doctor Strange.
James.
I mean...
One answer.
Silver Surfer, Power Cosmic.
Wrong.
Lard Lad.
What if I told you it was somebody who possessed the power of a million?
It's the donut.
Sorry.
Somebody who possessed the power of a million exploding suns.
Oh.
Oh my God, who's exploding their children?
John Stiff.
No, the Sentry.
Oh,
this century or next century?
The century, not century.
Well, the century was last century, and this century is not that kind of century.
The century, actually, that is a great story.
So he's one of my personal super favorites in Marvel Universe, mainly because of how he was created. He was created in 2000 by Paul Jenkins and Rick Vitich. His powers are too numerous to mention. I mean, if you look up the Century, his list of powers goes a mile long.
It's about like my list of publications.
More than Superman. He has more powers than Superman.
More powers than the Man of Soup?
Yeah, but to list a few. Superhuman strength, flight, light manipulation, molecular manipulation, and time bending.
He's Ant-Man. Paul Rudd.
Never ages.
No.
Made a deal with the demons.
Sexy sack as man meat.
Now here's why this
Loves smacking me.
Hey, it's a good movie.
No, it's not.
But no, here's why the Sentry's cool. The creators retrofitted him into the Marvel Universe. So he was only created in 2000, but when they created him in 2000, they released...
The hell was that?
You got an email?
They released 4 old editions of comic books.
Yes.
And put him into them.
Ooh.
So basically they rewrote Marvel history. So they recreated stories from decades ago involving the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. In these stories, they teamed up with Sentry for various reasons. Then they released a comic about the Sentry, and no one knows who he is.
What's the Sentry?
It turns out that the Sentry has mind-wiped everyone into forgetting that he ever existed, including himself.
That's pretty much my high school experience.
And the reason is...
skull. Sorry.
And the reason is his arch nemesis, the Void.
Please say not the Void. Please say the Noid.
Oh, I wish.
Damn you, Domino's!
He just wanted that pizza.
But, and
Why don't he get a job and buy his own pizza?
Stupid Noid.
I wonder where he probably... Do you think he's somewhere now, like, begging for scraps of pizza? Like
I think he should come back. He couldn't be any worse than the Domino's commercials now.
Oh, I know.
Oh my God, our pizza sucks. Please come back.
Hey, we got better.
We got better.
Could be worse. Could be Papa John's. Now let me have my daughter come on and do her entire rant.
That's right. The Noid never went off on a racist tangent,
true.
to my
I'm
knowledge.
not allowed to eat there anymore. My daughter
By the way,
cries.
should we do a whole Boathead skit about the Noid in the corporate meeting?
Sir, we're going to need you to change those red pajamas. It's been 30 years.
No, I was just thinking about him doing, Papa John type rants.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It would only be more effective if it was against heavyset white people. I'm tired of these heavyset white people ordering our food.
That's true.
Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Anyway, so his arch nemesis was himself. That the Void is a personality. He has a split personality.
This is an awful complicated character.
It is. Through a combination of the serum that gave him his power and government experiments, the Sentry is a mentally broken man. He has 3 personalities. Robert Reynolds, who's an overweight everyman. The Sentry, the most powerful superhero in the Marvel Universe. And his third is actually his main villain. The Void, an equally powerful shadow that has the ability to alter reality and take on many forms.
Why ain't he in the Avengers?
He is. He does become part of the Avengers.
In them movies. I can't read.
It turns out that the Sentry mind-wiped everyone because the Void was on the verge of obliterating existence. Which
is appropriately named.
So when the Sentry mind-wiped himself, the Void disappeared. And that's how the Sentry knew that was the only way to defeat him. The Sentry had an amazing run on the New Avengers and later the Mighty Avengers. The Sentry is a superhero that I believe would be amazing a story in the movies if they just found a way to do it, because it is such a weird story.
They found a way to do Thanos.
Yeah,
but that's not... And Endgame isn't what happens in the comics.
But, for example, the Sentry...
Right?
Yeah.
No, because there's there's tons more characters in the comics.
The Sentry puts himself into a supermax prison because he is convinced that he has killed his wife. And when he finds out that he actually didn't kill his wife, he has a complete mental breakdown and goes and creates another reality for himself to just try to bear. And that's where this Robert Reynolds guy, he's just an overweight schlub who just lives in a neighborhood, and Reed Richards, who is supposedly the Sentry's best friend, has to come and basically kick his ass into existence to restart his brain to make him realize what he's done.
What if I'm the Sentry? Reed Richards, where are you?
So he's just...
Get your stretchy butt over here.
And there's been many times
Really? That's the part you want to see the most. Stretchy butt.
So anyway...
curiosity is curiosity, Joe.
But to wrap it up real quick. No, it's just...
Easy to look for polyps.
There's been many times where the Sentry has been needed. Like, there's like a massive cataclysm on Earth. And the superheroes go, well, where's the Sentry? He had to leave because he's having another mental breakdown. He's constantly fighting.
Sounds like Captain Marvel to me.
Yeah, he's constantly having a mental episode.
Where's Captain Marvel in all this heat mess?
Oh, yeah. Who, by the way, really didn't do that much in the Endgame, but...
when she showed up, the universe is a big place. Did you not hear her? She has to watch over everybody. Captain America's just worried about America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, he's captain of it. That's like if you're a captain of the ship, you'd have to really watch that ship.
Yeah.
Well, he must not have been that good because he never became Colonel America.
I was gonna say, where's
That's true. Why aren't you full bird?
Why?
It's a term I learned. I don't really know exactly what it means.
How about Admiral America? That would be more the Navy, right?
Yeah.
In the Navy.
Who was Ensign America?
Anyway, moving right along.
Do. Footloose and fancy free.
So, Mr. Universe, you like him?
Sentry.
Good.
He's blonde-haired. Everything America wants to represent now. Blonde-haired, blue eyes.
Oh my God, Chet!
Yeah, it seems like you're going a little too far with this one.
I'm not gonna point this out, but
Look, you could actually Velcro to James's head. You throw a sheep at it, it'll stick.
That's why I'm constantly throwing tennis balls at his head.
You going to make a joke, or you want to tell us?
Like you all.
Are you going to tell your story?
I want to start with one of my
6 months.
One of my favorite characters.
Do you have to elongate the F's?
Yes.
But yes.
I do. Anyway.
Fadu?
Fadu. I want to do Man Thing. I still...
Yeah, you do. You want to do
thing,
it after you get done with Colonel Tom Parker's stretchy butt.
The poor man's Swamp Thing.
Which one came first?
Man Thing came
first.
However...
But Swamp Thing's cooler.
No, he's not. It's different. But Man Thing didn't have an origin first. He just he did, but he didn't. And
he did, but he didn't. You know, it looks like that young guy, only not at all.
Let me explain a little bit.
He didn't.
Yeah, no, this is going to be way cooler than, is he a man who became a monster or a monster who thinks he's a man?
You made my heart sing.
Actually, that was a theme song they used for the Swamp Thing cartoon. They took
Yes, they did. Yep.
And redid
Swamp Thing, I think I love you.
Yeah.
But I want to know for sure. Look it up.
It's terrible.
I watch that cartoon so much, though. Is it on DVD?
Nope.
It should be.
Anyway, I prefer the sequel more than I do the original Wes Craven one.
You kidding me? Yes, the sequel's, even though if you watch it...
It starts out with Creedence music. It's so much better.
If you watch it now, it is terrible. The Swamp Thing sequel.
I think today is Wes Craven's 80th birthday.
It would have been the 80 years old today.
Rip. But Man Thing was created by everybody. Stan Lee had the idea. He talked about Roy Thomas and then Jerry Conway and Gray Morrow. Jerry Conway did most of the writing. Stan Lee had the basic idea of going, that is this brainless swamp monster. Now, that being said, that idea, if you want to talk about who came first, you actually have to go back to the 40s and the Heap. And the Heap was a swamp monster, that was made up of living swamp matter. So that idea is old. But Stan Lee wanted a character that lost its humanity.
The Heap.
Lost all parts of its humanity. And that's what Man Thing is.
Threw out on the heap.
Is a force of nature. What's funny is Lynn Wine. Am I saying that right?
Lynn Wiseman. Yes, Total Recall, bad movie.
No, Lynn Wine.
The remake.
Lynn Wine, I think you're saying.
Who created
Man Thing.
Swamp Thing. Also wrote for Man Thing. And guess who he was roommates with?
Oh, were you serious?
Yeah, you didn't know that they were roommates?
No.
They were creating them at the same time-ish. They had already created Man Thing and Swamp Thing. And here's the actual story about that. I actually put the quote in here so I can do it correctly. Let me find where I put it. Let's see. Because he went on to write it.
The Heap.
He looks like... He's kind of cute. He's kind of like a Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Yeah,
nose.
exactly.
Sorry. Roy Thomas it was interviewed in 2002 about it, and here's what he actually said. Jerry and I thought that unconsciously
he says he needs to sing.
The origin in Swamp Thing #1 was a bit too similar to the origin of Man Thing that came a year and a half earlier. There was some vague talk about Marvel taking legal action, but it was never really pursued. I don't know if any letters even changed hands with DC. We weren't happy with the situation over the Swamp Thing #1 origin, but we figured it was an accident. Jerry was rooming with Lynn at the time and tried to talk him into changing the Swamp Thing's origin. Lynn just said he didn't see the similarity, so we left it.
Huh.
So they were rooming together. Both of them happened to be creating swamp-themed monsters. Allegedly, they didn't know about each other's work until after it came out, and they had already put the Swamp Thing into play. And Marvel had already published Man Thing.
So it's kind of like the Armageddon, Deep Impact, Dante's Peak, Volcano.
Yes, top stuff. Now, what's
My Fair Lady, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, all the same plot.
I was actually trying to think of one, and you fucked it up. I had the, and then I was damn it. It's like that one year with all the water movies. It's Leviathan, Deep Star 6, and The Abyss all came out in the same year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But now, Man Thing was a title that's been used before,
Nothing
too.
will be as memorable as Deep Star 6.
Tales of Suspense number 7 in the 60s introduced a Man Thing. And all of the... Marvel's idea was always we needed a character that literally has lost its humanity. Is just a force of nature. In the comics, however, it all goes back to Captain America. Captain America is to blame for Man Thing. Because they are trying to recreate the serum and the experiment that created Man Thing. What makes the character of Man Thing more interesting is it's all about betrayal. His wife, Miss Brandt, as she is called in the first comic,
betrayed him.
Basically Macbethed him. She got approached by AIM, which if you follow the comics, AIM or the movies, AIM is referenced, but then becomes part of Hydra, and that's actually what happens in the comics.
Hail Hydra.
AIM approaches her and basically buys her out, and so she betrays him. He burns all the notes about his formula that's going to recreate Captain America, and he memorizes them. And he's made one vial. He's trying to get away. They're trying to kill him. Out of desperation, he shoots up with it, but then falls into the swamp. And when he comes back, he's not human anymore. He doesn't rationalize things. He treats everybody equally. The one exception is if you're afraid, in other words, more or less, if you've sinned and you feel guilty, if he touches you, you burn. Those who know fear burn at the touch of Man Thing. What's really cool about that is
syphilis.
The first...
You know what killed that? Vinegar.
Gonorrhea.
The first person he burns...
That's how you get rid of syphilis. You get you a good case of gonorrhea.
I can't say the first. One of the first people he burns is...
Herpes kills mice.
Miss Brandt, his wife.
Oh, no.
Because he pops up, and later on in the comics, she is a very attractive woman who wears her hair like this because this part of her face is gone. And they did...
Are we still on Man Thing?
Please talk to us vaguely about your Ghost Rider again. I just like Flaming Skulls.
Yeah.
You would have liked Miss Brandt then. For a while, her head was on fire. Briefly.
I like fire.
So anyway, he does have this magical thing. At one point in the comics, they actually appoint him the Guardians of all realities. So the multiverse, he is at the center of it because he is not human. He can't be swayed by emotion. He will just treat justice as justice, which justice means some realities burn, some don't. That's life. So he becomes the guardian of the Nexus of all realities for a while.
He is the Nexus 6.
And that's kind of what's cool about him is that he pops up a lot in horror related things.
Rutger.
Because he is a supernatural character, but he's also a science character. He's a merger of those two. And they did a series called Strange Tales. There's been several series called Strange Tales. But if you look for Strange Tales under the Max headline, which used to be the adult imprint of Marvel, look for the Strange Tales that featured. They did 2, Werewolf by Night and Man Thing. Look for the Man Thing ones. Werewolf by Night's not bad.
Strange Tales, what they call that new Cats trailer. See?
God.
Topical.
Anyway.
You could have went with Stranger Things joke. You could have went with a DuckTales joke.
No.
Anyway.
I'm going by cats.
I just love the character because you don't have to worry about the character would be, I would think, a lot of fun to write because it's...
They made that movie. Wasn't it amazing?
It's pretty.
Brett Leonard. It is pretty, but it's
pretty.
A terrible movie.
It doesn't follow the character at all. There's no Native American shamanism in Man Thing. He is... If you have sinned, it's almost like Ghost Rider. If you're afraid, you only should be afraid if you've done wrong. So if you're afraid, you will burn.
And on that bombshell,
so yeah,
tune in next week to see which one of us is fried to a crisp.
All of us.
Joe.
All of us.
Yeah, but they're gonna touch Joe and then we're running.
Yeah, you guys are gonna run real fast.
It'll take a while.
Yeah. He hadn't been deterred.
What's that smell?
Watch it, boys. He gonna blow.
That was
But
funny.
yeah, no, it's so
You should have just ended it with Turded, though. The blow thing didn't help you any, but the Turded was funny.
Well, that's when it hits all that gas pocket.
Well, it just happened. Oh, I shouldn't make that joke.
Oh, no.
I know, too soon.
But anyway.
I didn't know anything about it, by the way.
Man-Thing is... so Man-Thing's one that doesn't get a lot of attention, but I think when Man-Thing's written well, it's a fascinating horror science character.
All right, my turn.
Freddie Wrightson drew it pretty, too.
Yes, he did.
I love some of the comic art of Vault of Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I've never read one of them.
Is it Vault of Dracula or Tomb of Dracula?
Tomb of Dracula is what I said. Shut up. Vault of
It feels
Horror.
like Tomb of Dracula.
It's Vault of Horror.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Say it now. Never studied.
Never studied. I had one as a child.
Is
Okay.
it?
And I can remember it
Let me check that.
fairly well. And I think if I saw it, I could say, oh, I had that one. However, I don't remember the story or anything else about it. I would like to read more of those if you all have a collection of those. Maybe some sort of omnibus, something interesting instead of your stupid superheroes. Like something
like
interesting with vampires.
I think I do have one. By the way, do you know who first appeared in Tomb of Dracula number 10?
I am about to talk about Blade.
Okay.
Is that where you're going?
Yes, Blade.
I like Blade. However, I like both versions of Blade. Basically, I like Blade 2, and I like 70s Blade from Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's cool looking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. Now, I understand why they didn't do it in the 90s. Well, I guess I've been 90... When did that come out?
You know the name of the guy that helped create Blade, the writer that created Blade?
Who was it?
Marv Wolfman.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Marv Wolfman. Which, I mean, his last name is Wolfman. Wolfman. You're pointing to yourself. That unless they're watching YouTube.
I met him!
Yeah, well, good for you, buddy.
Good for you. Oh, all right, suck it. That was what I was going to point out in here, but anyway. So, do you need me to read to you about this? So, first appearance was in the comic book The Tomb of Dracula number 10, as James said, as a supporting character. Do you know when? 1973,
73.
James.
Yeah, 7.
The character was portrayed by Wesley Snipes in the films.
Who portrayed
And they're
him in the
bringing
TV
it back.
series? Who portrayed him in the TV series?
I don't know.
Sticky Fingers.
Is it really?
Yeah, he was portrayed by Sticky Fingers in
Which
the
new
television
TV series is it? Which one Marvel series is he in?
No, the Blade. It was on. Was
Spike.
it Spike?
Spike.
I didn't know that was the guy's name. Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers.
Wow.
Sticky Fingers. Sticky
So
Fingers.
he's half man, he's half man, half vampire. I don't want to talk a lot about it because I think a lot of people already know the story of it because that's the first
I would say it's
successful
the one that started
Marvel
to really
film,
launch,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first one. I'm actually not a fan of that much of the first one. I can remember watching it in Moorhead at the original cinema down there. There was one screen, and not caring for it at all. I enjoyed scenes in it, but I didn't care for it at all. But I love the sequel directed by Del Toro, who says it, and this is true, has some of the best CGI of any movie I've ever made. Also has some of the worst CGI of any movie he's ever made. And he's right, by the way. There's a couple of them in front of the lights.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
God,
fight
it's
scene.
awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Enjoy the movie. Blade 3.
Shoo. Dominic Purcell as
David
Dracula.
Goyer dropped the ball on that.
David Goyer, a man that has had several opportunities and sometimes does well.
And he's written some movies that a lot of people
That's
like.
what I mean. But there's also some he seems to be the type of let's do a baseball analogy because I know so much about that. He either seems to be he's Casey. Casey either is going to hit a home run, take you to victory, or he's going to strike out.
He wrote the story for The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. By the way, do you know who when they originally created Blade, who they kind of based his appearance on?
I would imagine Shaft.
No.
Who?
NFL player turned actor Jim Brown.
Oh, well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I was going to say a little trivia because you all have so much to add. You know, in Blade 3, Wesley Snipes actually ended up suing David Goyer and New Line Cinema.
I didn't know he sued, but I know David Goyer had to have protection on set because of Wesley
He
Snipes.
sued them because they made a shitty movie, and he said it ruined his career.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not sure that whole,
things.
going to jail thing didn't ruin his career. No, too much.
I watched an interview with him a while back, and he actually went off about it. Not in a more of a, I suppose, 20 years later kind of thing of...
He got deterred in jail.
He got deterred in jail. What it was is he said, you got to remember, that David Goyer, he wrote a lot of stuff, but he never even directed a commercial.
Oh, really? That's true.
Before he directed that movie.
Yeah.
And all the movies he's directed have all been after Blade
Mm-hmm.
3, Blade Trinity. There is one redeemable thing about that movie.
You're gonna say Ryan Reynolds?
That's it.
As Deadpool in a vampire movie?
But what is watchable in that movie?
No, that movie's terrible.
It's Ryan Reynolds is the only redeemable part.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to read more of Tomb of Dracula. Throwing that out there.
Because when we eventually do our vampires episode, which we've been talking about that since we started this podcast. I know it's on the board.
There's a bunch over there,
vampires
guys.
more than I do zombies. I've came to terms.
Well,
I do too.
I do too. But
I
I'm
think they're
still
more
I was bored with zombies back in the aughts.
Yeah.
Well,
And now we're 10, 15 years
even
on.
then, like zombies to me, I mean, I think they're more. Zombies can be terrifying because I think zombies is the loss of all humanity. Vampires, I can't go out in the sun. Oh wait, I already can't. Okay, yeah, it doesn't affect me. So I'd be fine being a vampire.
Yeah. I don't know. Just when it's been done to death. But anyway,
all of it has been done to death.
I know, but
That's the cool thing about Blade 2.
Yeah, it was a new
Del
take.
Toro, had a new take on it.
Yeah.
Supposedly, when he went into production meetings on that, he actually wouldn't take the art with him. He would draw it so he could rip it up, so people couldn't steal it.
Oh, nice.
Of how they were going to open up like
Yeah.
this, he would rip it up.
Huh? Didn't know that.
I think that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
Chad.
So this is
Says
one of
no one liked my Blade one.
No, Blade's fine.
So next to Spider-Man and Iron Man, this is probably my favorite Marvel hero. Colossus. First appeared in May 1975.
Real quick, Colossus, for those of you that don't know, if you're familiar with DC Comics, they have this character called Steel. Colossus just ripped it off.
Yeah,
That's not true at all.
that's not true at all. And it's Citizen, isn't it Commander Steel or Citizen Steel?
No, it's Shaq.
Shut up.
Jeez, I thought you watched TV.
First
You
appeared.
even like basketball. You didn't know Shaq was Steel? That movie's directed by the same guy that did V. Shut up, Chad. It's Ken something.
First appeared in May 1975 in Giant Size X-Men #1. Also appearing in Giant Size X-Men #1 is Nightcrawler.
Giant size X-Men?
Yeah, it was basically
Is the comic bigger?
essentially X-Men had a reboot.
Okay.
X-Men before then it didn't succeed. The one of Angel, the Beast as a regular man with big feet, Cyclops and Jean Grey failed miserably.
Really?
It didn't become successful until
Giant size
X-Men
X-Men.
#1. This was their attempt to reboot the franchise, and it was successful. It was created by Lin Wayne and David Cockrum. Shut up, Joe. His power is super.
No, he was in Halloween 3. Cochran.
Cochran.
That's the same guy. He puts them masks on them kids, turns them bugs and snakes and whatnot. Terrified me as a child. Now, why my parents let me watch that as a child?
I don't know. Why did my parents?
They
let me
didn't
watch
love
that?
you.
Well, yeah, they ended up getting divorced. They didn't say it was my fault. They just couldn't be sure.
Well, they didn't tell you, but I've read their blog.
Oh. She can't operate a Keurig, man. There's no way she's blogging.
Well, somebody's doing a heck of an impersonation of it.
That'd be funny if
It's
she
nothing
was.
but cats. And then I hate Joe. This here's Fluffy Butt. Joe, we're in my life.
Tell her to get in line. Anyway, you were saying?
No, so his power is super strength, and his kin turns into indestructible metal. Get him, cousin Jed.
Why does he have to be Jed? Why are you so racist?
Kinfolk.
I'm sick of you putting your hillbilly elegy on me.
Also, it makes no sense because Colossus is Russian. Wizard ranked Colossus as number 184 on the top 200 comic book characters of all time.
It doesn't sound that high.
It's not that high. But in terms of all the comic book characters ever created,
I never even went to a 200. I looked at a 25 and a 100.
I don't know. Anyway, in 2006, IGN placed Colossus in 10th spot of their list of top 25 X-Men. Mm-hmm. And in 2013...
He's not even the top 5 of the X-Men?
No.
X-Men?
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, and Nightcrawler get on there, but I think Colossus is better. In 2013, Comics
Nightcrawler.
Alliance ranked Colossus as number 22 on their list of 50th sexiest male characters in comics. I don't know. I just wanted to put that one in.
Nightcrawler don't make that list.
Now,
No,
according...
Why is he sexy?
Because he's a big, muscular man.
Do you like muscular men? Is that what you find sexy? I was hoping he'd answer it.
And let me answer. very beefy.
Ooh.
According to David Cockrum, Colossus.
He's not stuffing them shorts.
Yeah, Colossus's creation was very easy.
I know how the sausage is made. Never studied.
Yeah. So when they reintroduced the X-Men, they needed a very strong character, so he just went and drew a man made out of metal. He was just basically Colossus is just he's just a fairly generic strongman who skinned people.
So what makes him different than Luke Cage?
Hold on. He doesn't get followed around grocery stores. See, that's called racial profiling.
And that's wrong.
And Luke Cage has to deal with that. If you've ever watched any of that Luke Cage television series, he talks about the penalties of being African American in America.
Yeah.
And that's wrong, Chad.
Also, I gotta admit, Luke Cage is slightly cooler than Colossus. But
Sweet Christmas is
let me tell you, the man who plays Luke Cage is a pretty nice dude.
Yeah. But
Mike Coulter?
Mike Coulter is a very nice man.
Yeah.
How do I remember that? But I can't remember
your children's names.
My children's name. I've forgotten the face of my father.
Hatchet wound and Flippy Doo, you get over here.
I have yelled Flippy Doo more than once.
Colossus, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, my two first comic books was Iron Man, and an episode of X-Men. And I don't even know what the plot is. All I know is apparently they were in a hotel. Mojo was in the hotel, and he was secretly trying to sabotage them, and it ends with them in a pile in a room with Mojo looking over them. Mojo is a big fat character who has mechanical spider legs, who owns Mojo, who creates television shows.
Jojo.
Yes.
It was a big parallel universe. Basically, everything's reality TV in this dimension, and Mojo runs that dimension, and he looks for new content.
But
it's a big social content.
Yeah, but when I opened up this comic book, and there was this gigantic, muscular metal man, I just thought he was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
You experienced some puberty there.
I shall not say.
All of a sudden, you hear, and what it wasn't his penis. It was his first pube.
And that's why I always got in trouble. And that's why I always got in trouble with Mom's frying pans.
What?
I'm supposed to follow that?
Anyway.
Imagine how the sausage felt.
The other reason I want to mention Colossus is I don't feel like we've ever gotten a really good interpretation of Colossus in cinema. Or in television, because in the X-Men comic book, in the X-Men cartoon, he was this wimpy Russian guy who all he did was whine for the 2 episodes that he was there, and Wolverine saved his ass.
In the original pilot, Pride of the X-Men is probably the best version of him that's
which I have not seen.
And he is very much Colossus in that, and he plays off Kitty Pryde a lot, which is true to the
And basically, in the 2 episodes that he appeared in the X-Men series, Jubilee and Wolverine have to save his ass. And then, of course, in the recent Deadpool series, he's kind of a goody two-shoe, just there for comic relief, and he gets his ass kicked. Other than when he briefly knocks out Juggernaut by shoving a cable up his ass.
Which is how...
Who's Colossus in the movie?
He's the big Russian dude who's...
Turns to metal?
Turns to metal. He fights...
Oh, that is Colossus.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even realize that's who that was.
He's also briefly shown in X2, which I got so excited in X2 when he came on, but then they did nothing with the character, and they basically kind of threw him away in X-Men The Last Stand. So yeah, I just feel like Colossus was never represented correctly. So that's my number 2.
You think that...
No.
That now that we're allegedly eventually going to start to see, and I'm excited because the Doctor Strange movie is called Dimensions of Madness or whatever.
It's going to be their first horror film, they say.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
And it is directed by Scott Derrickson, right?
I am excited.
Who, by the way, I have to admit,
because Doctor
Sinister is a pretty scary movie.
Doctor Strange was going to be one of the characters I was going to bring up because I love Doctor Strange.
I never saw Sinister.
Sinister's pretty good. Just skip the sequel, but the first one is...
By the way, Scott Derrickson, I tweeted with under Bonehead. You follow us on Bonehead.
It's Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness. You're right. Yeah. But some people are saying, is that going to be a way to lead into the Fantastic Four? Because have you all seen Spider-Man?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, slight spoiler. Not really for you. Won't mean anything to you. But at the end of the subway. At the very end, when he's on the thing,
we don't talk
subway,
about Jared on
and
the
it
show
says
anymore.
we can't wait to see what's next. And there's it's supposed to be the subway stops. There's a 1 in a circle, a 2 in a circle, a 3 in a circle, and then there's a circle, but it's just got a question mark in it.
No, I didn't see
But it's
it.
a perfect circle, like the old Fantastic Four symbol.
Oh, really?
And some people are like, well, maybe they just meant Phase 4. Other people are saying, well, if you're going to start screwing with multiverses, this is going to be the way you're going to start to bring in X-Men and things like that. I say that because since Dark Phoenix bombed, do you think are we going to get X-Men that'll forge into the Marvel Cinematic
Well, I think
Universe?
Kevin Feige has already teased that.
But I mean, do you think that it's going to be better? Because I can't imagine. And
Yes. There's only 2 X-Men films that I think are any good.
X2 and First Class, right?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, First Class I actually have a huge soft spot for. But
By the way, they reshot that ending. They had to shut down. There was a lot of problems. Of all the movies that they had that had problems, that technically had the most.
Really?
Do you know though that
I didn't know
the
that.
last
Supposedly.
somebody pointed out though that somebody took the wherever the last X-Men movie ends up with Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and it's supposed to be in the 90s, and then it shows Ian McKellen in when did that come out? 2000, 2001, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened to Magneto in this 10-year span? He aged quick.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, anyway, so I wonder if that's going to get, because I'm excited for that happening. I think that's the only way we're also going to get a Fantastic Four of note.
Yeah.
Can I talk now?
Like nobody's business.
Well, I'll keep your mutant-loving trend going. I want to talk about one of my favorite characters as a kid. Even though when I was a kid, he was drawn horribly and was filled with stereotypes. But he has since kind of evolved, and that's Cannonball.
Ron?
From Alpha Flight?
Ron?
No, from New Mutants. Who are you talking about?
Ron?
Oh, I thought there was a character named Cannonball in Alpha Flight.
No, not Run. That's part of Run DMC.
I don't give a shit.
Whose house?
If it's not Cannonball
Run's
Run,
house. I said, whose house?
Now I want to watch Cannonball
Run's
Run.
house.
Cannonball
Cannonball.
is from Kentucky.
Oh,
He
no
is
shit.
the mutant from Kentucky. He was born in Cumberland, Kentucky, to the Guthrie family. His father died in a mining accident,
This is not who I thought Cannonball was.
and he has the ability to basically project himself forward like a cannonball. When he's in his cannonball state,
How was that different
He
than...
is like if he is in cannonball form, you can't hurt him. Like when he's moving.
Well, what's the other... Well, how's that different than... Is it Juggernaut?
Except he can fly too. Juggernaut can just run, and once he gets going, he can't stop. Cannonball can fly. He can do anything. The other thing that's really cool about Cannonball is that Cannonball is...
Cannonball.
First off,
Cannonball
again,
Run song in my...
it
you
is,
remember it? It's like Cannonball.
I don't remember it at all.
You're killing me. He's from, like I said, he's from Kentucky, so he was always at home. When he was first created,
Yeah.
it was a big issue for me because they drew him rail thin, big eared, all of that stuff.
And you like, this represents me.
The actor, or I mean, the artist that created him said he was just a lot of fun to draw because he said we made him look as weird as we could. He was created by Chris Claremont, who created a bunch of other X-Men, and Bob McLeod. The other thing that's great about him, though, is that he is, other than my home state connection to him, is he's one of the most powerful mutants ever, but he part of his powers may be based on his belief in himself. He also may be immortal because he has been killed several times and came back, and they think
he read The Secret.
Yeah,
he was Oprah James. You actually referred to me as his own name.
No, I was going to say Chad, and then I started to say Duh, and then it just came out Chad.
James. You called me James. You're James.
Am I? I really?
Are you into the multiverse?
In the New Mutant film that we may or may not ever see.
Yeah.
But it's done.
Charlie Heaton plays him.
It's just on the shelf.
Charlie Heaton plays him. Charlie Heaton, if anybody needs to know.
From Stranger Things.
Will play him.
What did they?
From Stranger Things.
Did James make you sleepy?
Kill me. Anyway, but he may be part of the Externals, which are a group of immortals, not to be confused with the Eternals.
Okay.
Which we're getting ready to see. It's a film. But he has this blast field, and like I said, when he's in his blast field, he's unstoppable. The other thing that's interesting about him is it finally answered the question of, wait a second, if mutants are genetic, then if you have multiple siblings, shouldn't your siblings also have a chance to be a mutant? His sister, Paige, is in Generation X, or was in Generation X, and she played Husk, and basically she had the ability to rip off her own skin to reveal other things underneath to keep her alive, whatever that took. So it could be diamond-like underneath, but she had this really horrifying power.
How'd she put her skin back on?
It would have to slowly regenerate. So it was really horrifying visualizations they were able to do with that, where she would have to literally peel her own skin off. But I bring those up because we're broadcasting out of Kentucky.
We are.
And I think that's one of the things that I do like about Marvel. Again, that separates it from DC is that most of these characters, quote unquote, exist in the real world. Spider-Man's in New York, Superman's in Metropolis. And so I love the fact growing up that Cannonball was from the house, and he was created in the 80s, so they linked it to what was actually business in Eastern Kentucky, which was coal. And so his dad died in a coal accident. He was trying to help somebody. He was trying to help his family make money. He went into coal as soon as he was legally able. There was an incident. He got trapped, and that's actually how his powers manifested. And he shot himself and saved somebody else by blasting himself out of the coal mine. And then he was discovered. He was actually originally a villain. He was recruited.
Cole is the villain.
He was recruited to stop
Cole.
The New Mutants, which is he became a member of.
He was recruited to stop.
And he defeated the entire team by himself. But when he was told that he had to kill them, he refused. And then Charles Xavier popped up and said, hey, since you can't kill my new students, why don't you just join us? And he did.
Well, if you can't beat him.
Yeah. And he had beat him.
You kill him.
But he wouldn't kill him.
No.
So anyway, yes. So there are... he's just a fascinating character because he does have kind of a low-key mentality, but he is arguably one of the most powerful X-Men ever. Matter of fact, the issue where they kind of start to suspect that he is immortal, they are fighting. It's the Kree Warrior, but it's not obviously Captain Marvel. It's one of the other Kree Warriors, and they beat everybody, and he just won't stop getting up. And he finally wins by stopping the villain because the villain's like, I'm just tired of fighting you. And he says, well, then let us go on. You can claim you won, but he's just unstoppable once he gets going. And he has this impermeable shell of energy. So, Cannonball, had to bring up a Kentucky hero.
I think that's the only... And what I was looking up while you were talking...
Were you talking about Puck?
No, I was talking about Puck, by the way.
You slimy, how can you confuse Puck and Cannonball?
He's a small guy who bounces. I think that's his power anyway.
Yes, he is a dwarf who bounces. Yeah. Cannonball is not a dwarf. He's a lanky kid with big ears.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I looked up. That's the only hero that comes up from being from Kentucky is Cannonball.
Paige is too, but she's less known.
But they also mentioned the fact that the other thing that came up is the Human Torch fought a villain in Kentucky, Fort Wayne, Asbestos Lady.
So
she's doing as best as she can.
I've got a few things. There's only two other characters that I really like, that I find interesting. Once again, not only from a visual level, but also I think the characters are interesting. I've enjoyed them. I've got to know a lot of them from TV and cartoons. Are Doctor Strange and Kingpin. Okay. I've enjoyed both of them.
Okay.
Specifically, Vincent D'Onofrio was Kingpin.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, the multiverse Spider-Man, I enjoyed that Kingpin as well.
From Liv Schreiber?
Yes, from Liv Schreiber's performance. Guys that don't like them both. But there's a few characters as I was going through that I looked at. What can you all tell me about Arcade?
Arcade is an X-Men villain, also occasionally fights Spider-Man. They did a video game based on it, which was an X-Men...
He's the son of an incredibly wealthy man.
And he's basically, he's kind of Marvel's answer to the Riddler.
Okay.
Or Toyman, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
But he uses arcade games or mentality, arcade setup, to torture or see if people can...
I thought he had a really neat look.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's an interesting character, and like I said, they did an entire video game where it's X-Men and Spider-Man. I think the game was called Spider-Man and the X-Men. I think it was on Super Nintendo.
Yes.
And the entire thing is you have to fight Arcade, and of course it's perfect for a video game because what would Arcade do? He'd put you in video game type settings, and that's the entire kind of plot to the game. But yeah, he's just. It's one of those ideas of how hard can you be pushed, how far. And the idea that you have to survive his task. Okay. And whatever his task is what he expects you to survive.
Does he suck, guys?
He's a damn ginger.
That's one of those characters that, when written correctly, can be actually a really fascinating villain.
You want to use the word fascinating?
Yeah.
I thought he looked cool.
He kind of looks like Carrot Top wearing a really big bow tie.
I think I would use the term fascinating because to me it's like it's one of the characters that's easy to mock for Superman, but I think Toyman is the same way.
Oh, Toyman is a psycho.
Toyman, when you get the right author writing him, because they did an entire storyline. I remember it may have been in the late '90s where it actually explored Toyman's response to people who hurt children. Mm-hmm. And toys are sacred, and people use. I think it was a plot line. I may be misremembering this. But Toyman actually starts to act almost as a vigilante, targeting, quite frankly, child abusers and pedophiles and all that stuff that use toys to lure children. And he just says, toys are sacred. You don't do that.
I have another one that I find.
Arcade's the same way.
And we're not going to come back to me, I know, after this. So what can you tell me about Mr. Sinister?
Mr. Sinister is like Apocalypse to me. I mean, matter of fact, there's an entire storyline where they team up and all that stuff. But Mr. Sinister is...
so he was obsessed with Darwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And basically he is the con of the X-Men.
X-Men?
I mean, eugenics and all that stuff, and I'm going to study your DNA
with the Marauders,
to see what makes
right?
you better,
yeah.
And I'm going to work on what makes you better, and I'm going to become better, and I'll drain the life out of you if I have to do it.
Okay.
So Mr. Sinister has a silly name. And quite frankly, he was huge in the comics when the first X-Force came out and all that. I remember that, but I don't hear much about him anymore.
No, I think he's kind of disappeared. He had a pretty prevalent role sorta in the X-Men animated series from the '90s.
Yeah.
Because he was constantly trying.
Which I never watched. I've only probably ever seen a half a dozen episodes. Christy watched them all and loved them, but I mean,
he experimented on Cyclops and Jean Grey to basically find the perfect specimen.
Well, those are the two I'd like to learn more about.
Yeah,
he was created for the purpose of not being Magneto. Because Magneto, obviously, given the Jewish heritage or the concentration camp backstory, would have been against eugenics. So you're trying to come up with a new villain.
Right.
What do you want to create, but you don't want it to feel like Magneto? Well, you're going to go the exact opposite and go, okay, this guy loves eugenics, and he wants to experiment on mutants, and he wants to do all this. Again, created by Chris Claremont, the same guy that created Cannonball and a bunch of other X-Men.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So, last one I'm on. Well, if we have an honorable mention, I'll talk about that one. But I'm also going.
I'm sorry, but I wanted to do the rest of them because I knew I wasn't going to James Thomas it.
And I'm not either. No, I'm just playing. He's not.
I try so hard.
But since
I try to add fresh content, unlike your deterred statements.
But since we just mentioned
He won't be deterred.
But since we mentioned him during the Colossus segment,
James is now rubbing his huge honker on Chad.
My nose was itching. I didn't want to.
Euphemism is a honker for James's penis.
Luke Cage.
And by huge, not so much. Luke Cage is your third one?
Yeah,
Sweet Christmas.
I really love Luke Cage.
Mike Coulter is a nice guy.
Yeah, but he's good. I still don't think they got him right in that show. I love Luke Cage, the show.
I liked Luke Cage, the show.
Okay, no, love may be strong. I had some issues. The first half of the first season was amazing.
Yeah, until they killed off an Academy Award winner as your villain.
And then everything after that was...
let's be honest, that guy can act.
But yeah, I like that show a lot. But Luke, I still don't think they got Luke Cage right. Even though I like Mike Coulter's interpretation.
To think about it, I've met 2/3 of that cast.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, just forgot about Shades.
Luke Cage first appeared in Luke Cage, Hero for Hire #1 in June 1972. He was created by Archie Goodwin, George Tuska, Roy Thomas, and John Romita Sr.
I've always said Romita, but I could be.
It might be Romita. Luke Cage was created. Do you know why he was created?
Because they needed somebody who was tougher than Shaft.
What was popular in 1972?
Shaft.
Blaxploitation.
Shaft.
Yes.
Actually, I think a lot of that was started by Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. We should do a two-parter on blaxploitation films and actually go through the history of that.
I agree with you on that.
But I understand people want to talk the comics.
But no, he was first created as a result of the emergence of the blaxploitation genre. He was the first African American superhero to appear in his own comic series. Now, here's what everybody's going to say. What about Black Panther? Black Panther did appear in comics before Luke Cage. Yeah. However, he did not get his own book until 1973.
What?
Yep. Black Panther existed in the 60s, but he just appeared in other comics. Yep. He didn't ever have his own series.
Did they always have the same backstory that they do in the movie?
For what? Luke
Black
Cage?
Panther.
Wakanda and all that stuff? Yeah, Wakanda was always...
I was just curious. I didn't know.
Yeah.
The comic received 2... This is what was interesting about...
Real quick.
Yeah.
You may be getting ready to mention... Are you going to talk about the transition to Power Man?
Yep.
Okay, never mind. I'll shut up.
The comic received...
I knew about that too.
Yeah, the comic receives 2 quick retitles at its start. He, shortly after Luke Cage, Hero for Hire #1, it became Luke Cage, Power Man. And then it was shortened to just Power Man by the issue 17. Luke Cage was generally a man who provided his services for a fee to anyone that could afford them. And this is one of the best stories of Luke Cage early on, is he teamed up with the Fantastic Four for the sole purpose of Dr. Doom owed him money. Because Dr. Doom hired him, and he refused to pay Luke Cage. So Luke,
you gotta know what you're getting into when the guy's his last name's Doom.
I was gonna say, but that's what I love
of course you
about.
Think he's a doctor.
I love about Luke Cage is he is effectively a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And I love that about that character because
you're right. They don't really have that in the show.
No, they briefly mention it, but in the very last half of that second season, and then it just never.
And that's the thing that I loved about it. Even when, and I know you're probably going to talk about the team ups that happened, but there's a great line, and it's not involving Luke Cage, but one of the older Spider-Man comics that I loved, and by older I mean 80s, so depending on your age if that's old. But when I was a kid, there's a storyline where Spider-Man has to team up with a mercenary, and it's not Luke Cage. But they have an entire conversation, and they both go away going, it takes all kinds, I guess. And the entire conversation is, the mercenary is like, you would risk your life day in, day out, knowing other people love you and care about you, and you don't ask for a dime. And of course, Spider-Man says back, you expect money to do what's right. And they both turn around and walk away, and both of them say it takes all kinds. And I always thought that was fascinating, because I think we would see more mercenaries. I mean, no offense meant, but if I get powers, I'll try to do good. I'm not taking kill people assignments, but I'm probably going to say, listen, I got student loans to pay.
No, they're going to Alan Moore this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan getting that paycheck.
But no,
I'm just saying.
The reason I like Luke Cage is he's generally a very down-to-earth superhero, and does not want to be bothered with the major battles his counterparts take place in. He is more concerned with the downtrodden and making a buck for those that can pay him. So Luke Cage, eventually when the title started to fizzle, they teamed up with the Iron Fist, and they became. I believe the whole series was called Hero for Hire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Power Man and Iron Fist, Heroes for Hire.
They also became they're the ultimate whatever. My kid has the book where he's Power Man, because I didn't know about Power Man, and I thought that sounded so stupid.
Yeah. When
I was reading the book to my kid.
Yeah. Because
why would you put on a suit of a guy who's already tough as nails?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's him, Spider-Man, Iron Fist.
And Silver Saber. I think it's her name.
Silver Saber, and that's the what is it called again?
It's called the cartoon's called Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. I guess they were trying to make it more. I think the reason they went back to calling him Power Man in the cartoon is they wanted to make it more appealing to kids. So just having a character named Luke Cage, kids aren't going to go, I want to buy Luke Cage.
Yeah.
No, I want to buy Power Man.
Yeah, no, it didn't make any sense
And
to me.
the whole thing about him being Power Man, his suit was ridiculous back in the day. I mean, he had a silver tiara.
I love the way the show did that.
Oh, yeah.
The
Is it
show
worse than
building
Booster
that
Gold?
in.
You bastard.
I just asked.
He has a silver tiara. He has a yellow pirate puffy shirt with the chest out, metal arm bracelets, and a chain for a belt, in blue jeans. That was Luke Cage's early outfit. Now he doesn't even wear an outfit. He's just basically blue jeans, a short sleeve T-shirt.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me. He also had a huge afro. Now he's bald.
That's the reason why you like him.
But my favorite stories with Luke Cage actually involved his time with the Avengers. It was called the New Avengers. During that time, he fought Carnage to a standstill, which was really cool because he's in a dank basement prison cell, and the cells become open, and now comes Carnage, and Carnage is a vampire essentially. He's trying to suck out Luke Cage's life force, and he can't because he has unbreakable skin. And Luke Cage, he can't win the fight. Carnage is just more powerful, but at the same time, Carnage can't beat him because he's unbreakable. He also took over leadership.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he also took leadership of the Avengers when they factioned off after the Civil War story arc, and Captain America was dead. And
What?
Yep, Captain America dead. He came back. He got better.
He didn't die in the Civil War movie I saw.
No, I know.
They killed Lincoln, though.
What?
Civil War happened in the United States.
Oh, okay.
North and South.
Got me.
That's the American Civil War. Don't start on the British one. We're very, very limited on our Civil War knowledge to own an American.
What the else matters? Keep going.
America. No, but I liked it because you saw Luke Cage struggle with the fact that he's trying to lead Wolverine, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Iron Fist, and he's not Captain America. Captain America would listen to people. Captain America was more willing to cooperate, more of a team member, and Luke Cage was just like, this is what needs to be done. This is what we're going to do. There's no argument.
So did he take the disc thing where, whether you're dominant, an influencer, a steady, or a complier? You familiar with this?
Yes.
Turns out, guess which one I am?
Yeah. I couldn't even guess.
Influencer.
Oh, really?
By a long shot. You know what's number second?
What's number second?
Do you know what's number second?
Enlighten me.
Dominant.
Hold on, the world just opened up. I never saw that.
By the way, do y'all know about the film adaptation that we almost got?
Of Luke Cage? Or disc?
No.
Of Luke Cage? So, it was going in 2003. Columbia Pictures got the rights to make it. The screenplay was penned by Ben Ramsey with Avi Arad.
Avi Arad for Spider-Man.
Serving as producer. John Singleton was going to be the director.
That makes sense.
Jamie Foxx and Tyrese Gibson were considered for their lead role, but people competing for it included Dwayne Johnson, Isaiah Mustafa, and Mr. Elba.
Isaiah Mustafa is in the new It movie, right?
I don't know.
Anyway.
However, in May of 2013, the rights finally reverted back to Marvel, which is how we got the Netflix show.
Yeah, which I really hope that we see another version of Luke Cage.
In an interview he did literally yesterday, I popped up on my feed. He said that book is still open.
Yeah.
Even and a certain CEO Bob Iger said, "Well, if there's enough demand, there's always a movie." So
I hope.
Yeah.
But I like that some people refer to the Netflix shows as those are your street level heroes. They're not going to go toe to toe with Galactus, but I like those stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you, it's hard to beat that Punisher show.
Oh yeah. And if we lose
season 1 and season 3 of Daredevil.
No,
I haven't got to finish season 3. Actually, I didn't get to finish season 3 of Punisher.
But you mean
or is it season 2?
Season 2. Punisher sadly only got 2 seasons, which was depressing because it was such a good show.
Daredevil, Punisher, and I like Jessica Jones. I do like it. I like it quite a bit. I like the way they have her played.
I'll never eventually get to it.
I'll never eventually
get to it.
Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up that we almost got a film before.
I didn't know.
All right, what's your next one?
Do I have time?
Yeah, just keep going. It worked out the last time.
I want to do. Thanks, Joe. I want to bring up one that I had a great love for and then fizzled quickly, but I would love to see what could happen if
God, I hope
somebody.
he doesn't say Dana.
If somebody. If somebody.
Why did I go French?
Oh.
That's one tasty baguette.
Created by writer Tom DeFalco and artist Mike Manley, Darkhawk.
Oh, really?
In the very
Why not
beginning,
Blackhawk?
at the beginning, the first 4 or 5 issues.
I never read it. I just know
Okay,
I had
so
a friend in
Darkhawk-
high school that was obsessed with Darkhawk.
Darkhawk, in the first 5 or 6
I don't
issues.
think I hung out with anybody in high school that read comic books.
You could have stopped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with anybody in high school.
I hung out with some people, but it just wasn't probably
I'll
a good
present one
crowd.
of them.
You know what?
Oh, man.
That's a mean joke
I
because
know.
it's
There's nothing funny
know.
down this road.
scarily accurate.
know.
Let's talk about those orphan children, James.
I know.
You want me to make it dark?
Yeah, no, you're just too late. Speaking of Darkhawk. No, Darkhawk, the first
If
several
it ain't
issues.
Silverhawks, it ain't shit.
The first several issues of Darkhawk were really
That's stupid.
interesting because he didn't know what he was. And
But he's a stupid person.
no, he's not a person. That was the entire thing.
In a
Basically,
stupid suit.
Christopher Powell found
That actually sounds
this,
like somebody.
found an amulet type thing.
Somebody I don't like.
And yeah, there you go.
Chris
You know,
Powell.
we know people named. Well, I know people with the last name Powell.
Chris Powell?
No.
Well, then there you go.
But basically, he found there were drugs in the neighborhood. There was gang activity. He grew up in a bad part of New York. And he ends up finding this crystal type thing
Yes.
in weird circumstances, and he's going to be killed. And finally, he grabs at it, and it turns him into this thing. Anyway,
We can fix it in post.
what
Yeah, basically.
what was interesting about Darkhawk when it first began, and that's why I wanted to end on this one.
Star Wipe!
I've got one more that I want to bring up.
Why is your
It's not
finger
a
all the
character.
way up
It's
to
not
your
up
brain?
my nose. I'm scratching the side of my
It
nose.
looks like you're
This,
scratching
sir,
your brain.
is up my nose.
There
This
you go.
is the
That'll bring
side.
in the women.
It don't have to bring in the one. Anyway,
The one woman?
one at a time, sir. One at a time.
One at a time.
Darkhawk was an interesting character when he first began because it was this guy that if he grabbed this thing, he would turn into a thing. My favorite issue
He
that I had.
grabbed a thing. He would
My
turn
favorite
into a
issue
thing.
that I had, and it was actually the last issue I read until years later, because I got like issues 1 through 5, or something like that. The last issue that I had, he gets shot.
Yeah, it looks like they're shooting at him in this one.
Yeah, he gets shot in Darkhawk form, and he's scared to transform back because he is bleeding out as Darkhawk.
Why is he
But-
pissing off Iron Man?
But if he turns back into human and he has those wounds, he knows he'll die instantly because he got machine gunned. And so he's sitting there in front of a mirror, and he's deciding. And basically, his family is at the door thinking he's starting to do drugs, and he has to decide: am I going to try to turn back and risk bleeding out, or is everybody going to know who I am?
Well, you know someone's at the door.
Here's where this character went wrong, and I wanted to bring it up because, hey, Marvel Comics, if you wanted to relaunch a character and make it more
I was
supernatural,
going to say, it kind of sounds, real quick before you say that, he kind of sounds like Guyver.
yeah, kind of.
Okay.
That's just a respectable comparison, I think.
Mark Hamill.
When they tried to give him for a long time, for the first several issues of the comic, that was his thing. He became Darkhawk. We didn't know what Darkhawk was, etc., etc. Well, unfortunately, they tried to give him an origin. And when they did, what they came up with was that his body is... I can't make this up. You can guess what time they resolved this origin on what was popular at the time. His body is called a raptor. It is a techno-organic construct that possesses these abilities, and it's hidden. The amulet that becomes embedded in his chest when he transforms is actually a seed from the Trees of Shadows, which is located in null space. It ties back to a bunch of Marvel villains at the time, etc., etc., but basically he's using this thing that's created in the dark realms of space. The reason I bring that up is if you put that character and you fleshed that out and connected it to what we saw with the Collector and Guardians of the Galaxy films or something like that, it would be cool. The problem was they created that origin and went, yeah, let's just never bring it up ever again. It was a character that didn't need that origin. It was far more interesting when it was like, is he making a deal with the devil every time he does it? Is he, is it supernatural? Is it... They explained what was in the soup. Then the soup didn't taste right anymore. And so I wanted to bring it up because I think it's an interesting character.
Was that soup deturted?
Not after they explained
was
what
that
was
one
in
too
it.
many times?
Too many turds.
Damn it.
Anyway, he keeps popping up in characters.
Went to the well wasn't too many times, Mr. Smith.
He does pop up in characters. As a matter of fact, recently...
Damn Lassie never comes
Recently, he was seen in the Guardians of the Galaxy comics where he is called to a meeting with Star Fox, who is the brother of...
John Fox.
No, Thanos.
Oh.
And he is...
Star Fox was a Super Nintendo game that I never got the point of. Continue.
That's where I know that from.
Yeah.
He basically ends up having to work with the Dark Order and work with the Death Goddess Hela from Thor.
Hella good.
Hella good.
And so he is still around.
Kate Blanchett.
He is considered a cosmic power, but his origin became what drove him down. I wanted to bring him up because as when I was younger, the way the first few issues were written were great. When they started replacing writers and that writer went, no, I'll give him an origin, things went downhill. So I want to bring him up. So, he was an interesting character that died off.
Honorable mention.
Gambit. He's next to Colossus.
Have you ever tried to throw a card? You can't throw a card like that.
Ricky Jay could.
Yeah, Ricky Jay. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, but Ricky Jay could.
Yeah.
Ricky Jay could throw him in the watermelons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just always...
They actually explained that once in the... because somebody actually asked the creator, and they were like, well, it's because he charges them. And once they have that kinetic energy, he controls them.
Yeah. But no, when X-Men the animated series came out, I knew most of the characters on the series. Then all of a sudden, here comes this cool-looking guy with a trench coat on and a super suit underneath that, and he had these black eyes with pink pupils. I was like, who the hell's that? And then he throws cards that explode, and he has a bow. Just everything about... and he wasn't invented until the 1990s.
And Channing Tatum still hasn't played him.
Oh, man.
I probably won't.
I'm be honest with you, I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen.
But it's almost happened, several times?
Several times.
With Channing Tatum. He has never left it, right? It's like his dream role or one of his roles, right?
Right. And then,
if I've read all this correctly?
Yeah. And then the only other version we've gotten in movies is Taylor Kitsch played him in that awful Wolverine movie.
Oof.
So
first you charge the card, then you throw the card.
No, that's... Gambit gets an honorable mention, and then just also, again, I didn't bring him up, but he's still one of my favorite characters, Daredevil, and the Punisher.
Yeah. I thought about talking about the Punisher.
I'm going to do an honorable mention that's not a character. Because it's too important, because I do like Marvel supernatural takes, Tomb of Dracula and all of that stuff. Mike Klug, who is an artist who worked on Man-Thing, the Monster, and there's card sets dedicated to his art.
Mike Klug did a lot of the art for, isn't he the one who did the art for some of the Dark Crystal and some of the design, right? Is it Plug or Flug? It's something like that.
Ploog.
He was a huge influence on Rob Bottin. And who actually used a lot of it for the thing.
And Jerry Conway, who I mentioned earlier, created Man-Thing. I want to bring up a book for Marvel that is so important, especially if you're the fan of a certain book in a certain franchise where things are groovy and people have chainsaws for hand. I got to bring up the Darkhold. The Darkhold is also known as the Book of Sins, and in the Marvel universe, it is what ties the entire dark side of the universe together. To the point...
Isn't that the book that was a plot point in the Shield?
I haven't caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it may be. But the Darkhold first appeared in 1972 in Marvel Spotlight number 3.
Yeah.
But it was actually first shown in Marvel Spotlight number 4. It is referenced again in Werewolf by Night number 1, Marvel Chillers number 3. The comic book series, Darkhold, Pages from the Book of Sin, ran for 16 issues in the early 90s.
By the way, yes, it's a plot point in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, cool.
I never made
it very much is the Cthulhu-linked book of the Marvel Universe, except it connects to Cthon, who is a demonic elder god who was the Earth's first practitioner of black magic, and he wrote the Darkhold. Being an academic, Cthon wrote all his collected knowledge of magic into the iron-bound scrolls.
Mention.
I want to bring it up, though, Joe, because it doesn't matter what part of Marvel Comics you liked, if you look at their history long enough. Conan the Barbarian was owned by Marvel Comics for a long time.
Yeah,
Now
still is.
Dynamite. Is Dynamite doing them?
No, I thought Conan's an Avenger now.
What is it? No. Red Sonja, all of that stuff, it pops up there. Tomb of Dracula, the first vampire, was created by somebody misinterpreting pages from the Darkhold to try to do a ceremony. Zula, Red Sonja villain, uses the Darkhold against the set-worshipping sorcerer in the Red Sonja. Morgan Le Fay uses the Darkhold. All of this, werewolf, all of that, and in modern times, the Marvel Zombies, which is its own universe now, is all created because of the Darkhold.
By the way, yes, he is in the Savage Avengers with Wolverine, Punisher, and Venom.
Oh, check that out. That sounds great.
Yes.
I saw, by the way, I posted through Bonehead. If y'all follow Bonehead on Twitter, Archie vs. Predator is coming out.
Oh, I saw.
That being said, in the 90s, Marvel did a huge series of horror comics and united them all in a storyline called Rise of the Midnight Suns. And Darkhold was a book series that had Blade and some other people having to track down these pages that were lost out of the thing. And they were being carried around by someone who basically was tricking people into reading from them. Because if you read from you sacrifice your soul. He didn't want to sacrifice his soul. He forced other people to do it. Okay. I wanted to bring it up because I love the fact that in and of itself is a character to me. And if you like supernatural stuff in the Marvel Universe, the fact that they have thrown that out, started in the 70s, was used in Conan, has been used in Avengers. I didn't know it was used in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series. I love the fact that it is the Necronomicon of the Marvel Universe. So I wanted to bring it up. I think it's interesting.
Alright, guys. This has been our Marvel episode. Is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Nope.
Good.
I like that Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange good.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites.
Thank you all for tuning in. Please share. I'm curious to see how iHeartRadio affects us. I wish I knew. I have no idea.
iHeartRadio.
That sounds awful.
We'll see if we get... No, it sounds great. We'll see if we get invited to the iHeart Music Festival.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I don't think so, dude.
I mean, it could. They could surprise us.
It could be.
It could be that they bring us on there just to dump slime on us like that old Nickelodeon show.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
You can't do that on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I know. I would kill to be on that.
You can't do that on TV.
The only thing that would make it better is if Alanis Morissette did a skit with us before it happened. Because she was on, you can't do that on television.
Was she really?
You didn't know that?
No, I don't remember that. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in.
You want to know?
Share us.
I mean, isn't that ironic? Don't you
It's a
think?
jagged little pill to swallow.
God. Dave Coulier, you say.
And Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, I forgive her for Ryan Reynolds. I mean, who wouldn't do Ryan Reynolds? But Dave Coulier.
Hey, you cut it out.
And with that, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you so much.
She was on 5 episodes of You Can't Do It on Television. I just looked it up. I'm not crazy. I'm crazy.
Brrr.